Hello everybody. In the current affairs this week, the week ended 8th of March 2026. The war in the Gulf has entered the second week. It very clearly seems that it's not going to be a war which is going to end so very early. There were a set of people, especially the US administration, who had expected that this war would come to an end very quickly. But it does not seem like. Iran is a country which has been in all these activities since last 47 years, and they understand how to play this game. As far as India is concerned, crude oil prices, the spike and the surge which has happened is a major area of concern. This will lead to not just increase in the inflation in the country, but also the depreciation of the Indian rupee, as the current account deficit of India would get bigger. Procuring natural gas for Indian industries would be a challenge in these times. The government has assured that retail consumers will not be impacted for the piped gas which they use, but industries other than fertilizer, which are dependent on the use of liquefied natural gas, would definitely get impacted. Exports to the Gulf region would practically get halted till the time this entire war situation becomes under control. Global air travel has significantly been impacted because so many of the travel itineraries which are in the western part of India were definitely going through these Middle Eastern routes. There are a large number of persons of Indian origin who are working or who are in these regions since a lot of time. They would definitely get impacted. But this protracted war has got its own bad implications to all the world at large, including India. But there are certain implications which seem that they are going to happen in the times to come. This war will make US understand that every country in the world is not like a Venezuela, and they would not be able to pursue their expansionist kind of thought process and policies which are pursued by the present administration. Every action in last few months by the US administration were on weaponizing the economics by imposing tariffs and restrictions and creating hostile environment for the world at large. With this kind of a situation in which the US would be faced with, these kinds of things will quite be controlled. Flight of capital from various countries of the world was moving to the Middle East, and especially in Dubai. And India was no exception. A lot of capital and lot of people were impressed about the kind of conditions which these countries offered, and capital as well as human capital moved to these jurisdictions. This will definitely get curtailed. Islamic fundamentalism and terrorism across the world got support from this region. With this region in crisis, support to all these activities will quite be checked. Money laundering, refuge to lawbreakers was an activity which was rampant in this region. If this region goes under a lot of challenge, then these activities originating from this region would also get curtailed. The entire Gulf region has large investments in the US. If this region is under a crisis, then investments of this region to the US would definitely dry out, or there could be a scenario where there could be some kind of a sell-off or withdrawal from their investments in the US. No war is something which is beneficial to anybody. It has got its negative implications, and these negative implications were reflected on all the markets. The Indian stock market, all Nifty 50, mid cap and small cap declined by around 3% this week, and it is expected that this decline would continue on account of the impact of this war on the Indian economy. FIIs were seller this week to the extent of 21,000 crores plus. DIIs continued their buying to the extent of more than 32,700 crores. Nifty PSU corrected significantly by more than 6.5% on account of profit taking, but Nifty Defense was up by around 5% on account of this warlike situation and the new situation which is emerging in the world, where defense spending is going to increase for every country in the world. In the commodity market, Brent crude, as I said earlier, has not just spiked but surged very significantly and ended this week at $93 to a barrel, and it is expected that the price of Brent crude, which was around $63, could double in no time. Gold and silver, while were mildly in a corrective mode in India, but platinum and palladium, which are industrial metals in the global markets, corrected by 10% this week. Copper internationally declined by around 5% this week. The US dollar ended at 91 rupees and 93 paisa against 91 rupees and 8 paisa at the start of the week. This is a clear implication of this war. Nasdaq and S&P 500 were on a declining mode. Nasdaq corrected by 1.2% and S&P 500 corrected by 2%. The Chinese benchmark corrected by 3%, and South Korea, which was a country in the stock market which was on the upsurge since last few weeks, corrected by huge 13.5%. All the other global major markets corrected by around 8%. That is all for this week. Thank you.